You said that.
Let me ask
You
somebody.
said
Somebody who know me for real, right? Who really know me.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear.
Do you think I'm like from
What she got?
I think she's heavy. I think she's heavy.
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would have been over.
Think I ain't spoke to my son. Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his going to prison.
I said a while ago when T.I.'s son King was getting a lot of flack and a lot of heat in the media, that to me he just looked like a young kid that wanted to prove to his father that he was a man too.
It's put a lot of back and forth, a lot more strain on just what we had going on. Afraid of that, and it did put some strain on our relationship. If you see him, we was about to divorce here and there, and breaking up here and there.
The first shock wasn't the courtroom. It was the tape. A late night leak, a dim room, a voice that sounded too familiar, and a promise no one expected to hear. Not to a stranger like Shekinah. The clip didn't tiptoe. It pointed. It painted a picture of an affair that crossed every line Tiny had spent years defending. By sunrise, the story wasn't whispers anymore. It had names. The audio rolled through feeds like a siren. A quiet confession here and a keep it between us there. A pause long enough to feel like intent. People scrubbed the timeline, rewound the exact second the breath caught, argued over syllables like they were reading a contract. The more the clip replayed, the louder the headline hit, T.I. and Shekinah, together in secret. Not as coworkers, not as friends, as something else entirely. If you want the full story with no filler and every turn that matters, hit like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell. We move quick. We keep it real. Let's go.
He just became a father, so I got 2 grandchildren now.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah, I got 2 granddaughters. I got a grandson on the way.
Wow.
King's about to have a son.
King's about to have a son. Congrats.
Yeah. And I told him I'm gonna make this the greatest gangster of all times. I will raise this child to torture you the way that you tortured me. I promise you, there will be an indictment in this young one.
By the time Tiny walked into court, the internet had already decided what it heard. But court isn't a comments section. It has the power to take a rumor, hold it under the light, and force everyone to feel the weight of it. Tiny took her seat, shoulders squared and shaking at the same time. There's a particular kind of hurt that doesn't need words. It sits in the jaw. It makes a blink last too long. It turns a steady breath into a battle. Then the playback started. A hush. A sentence that wasn't meant to travel. The suggestion of a plan that didn't include Tiny at all. You could feel the sound hit her first, then the benches behind her, then the hallway where reporters stopped typing to just listen. She didn't break with a scream. She broke the way people do when they're trying not to. Chin up, eyes burning, hands clasped like a lifeline that kept slipping. The judge asked for order. You can't order grief. What made this different was the triangle. Husband, wife, former best friend, years of inside jokes, glam room banter, the kind of closeness that turns 2 people into a rhythm. That's why the word affair landed like an earthquake. It wasn't a rumor about a stranger in a city far away. It was the person who knew the house. The person who'd been there for the highs, the lows, the midnights no one posted. When insiders cross lines, the damage isn't just scandal, it's betrayal at home. Clips multiplied. The same tape, a dozen angles. Slowed audio. Caption pauses. Thumbnails screaming exposed in letters you couldn't scroll past. Old lives resurfaced. Old laughs looked like clues. Moments that once read as harmless now felt like foreshadowing, and the crowd ate it up. You didn't have to believe everything to click. Curiosity handles the rest. There were 2 tracks running at once. On one, the official world with filings, exhibits, the slow grind of process. On the other, the wild current of public opinion, where a voice line becomes a verdict and a pause becomes intent. That's where Tiny had to sit, between proof and perception, while the room leaned in for the part that would either confirm the worst or give them something new to argue about. The part that cracked the gallery wasn't even loud. It was a whisper, a line you'd only say if you were sure no one else would hear it. Then silence, the kind that makes your stomach drop because the absence of sound suddenly says more than a speech. Tiny pressed her lips together like she could hold the world in place. It still moved. You could see the moment she realized a boundary she trusted had disappeared. Not with a stranger, with someone who used to stand next to her. Outside, the chaos did what chaos does. Headlines dragged the family from courtroom benches to phone screens, turning pain into content. Creators stacked videos like bricks, each one promising a full breakdown, while cutting the story into the sharpest corners. The algorithm doesn't reward nuance. It rewards heat. And nothing burns like a love story turned inside out. People started pulling threads from the past and weaving them into the present. The friendship that once felt like protection now felt like evidence. Old arguments got relabeled as warnings. Private jokes looked like codes. That's how a clip becomes a theory, and a theory becomes a narrative that's hard to shake, even when the facts are still forming in the cold language of court. There's the public piece, too. 1 week, a celebration post, anniversary captions, travel reels, 2 people saying they're still standing. The next week, a leak that says otherwise. Both can be true to someone. That's the strange math of modern fame. A toast and a teardown trending at the same time, each gathering its own crowd, each claiming the real story. Inside, the human pieces didn't care about trends. An attorney cleared their throat and couldn't find their voice on the first try. A bailiff passed a tissue without saying a word. A journalist put the laptop down because they felt a little sick writing while someone's life felt like it was coming apart. The room shifted from public spectacle to private ache, and for a moment the cameras didn't get everything. Then the questions. How long, how deep, and how many times? The tape didn't answer any of that. It only tilted the ground. Still, the idea of T.I. and Shekinah together in secret, repeated enough, clipped enough, captioned enough, became the center of gravity. The gallery didn't need a full map to understand why Tiny's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Some truths don't need a timeline to hurt. There's a cost to this kind of viral. Not the comments. The calls that stop coming. The campaigns that go on pause. The meetings that end with "we'll circle back" and never do. You can be right or wrong in the end. Perception sends the invoice first. That's why silence starts to sound like strategy. That's why people go quiet while the internet gets louder. It's not just damage control, it's triage. Strip the names off the headline, and you're left with a simple, heavy picture. A wife hearing something she can't unhear. A husband sitting under a microscope, the room studying his face for answers he won't give. A former friend in the eye of a storm that used to be someone else's shelter. Court ends at 5. Hurt keeps going. As the day stretched, the courthouse steps turned into a stage. Live streams, hot takes, strangers arguing about what a pause means legally. It sounded like a choir singing different songs at once, every voice trying to be the loudest. If you stood far enough back, it looked like a city watching its reflection crack. The timeline fed itself. One creator posted the definitive breakdown. Another posted the truth they don't want you to hear. Each had the same core. The tape, the triangle, the tears. Each upgraded the drama by a degree. That's the engine. If you can add volume, you can add views. If you can add views, you can add certainty, even when the facts are thin. Back in the room, what mattered stayed small. A glass of water carefully placed. A hand on a shoulder. A stare that said, "Don't look at me right now, please." The sound of a deep breath that almost steadied. For a second, it wasn't about a brand or a legacy. It was about a person trying to stand up without falling. There's another piece to this story that doesn't get enough space. King Harris.
A lot of people hit me up like, "King, I know you tired. You ain't getting no sleep." And the truth be told, before this little I ain't been getting no sleep. You know what I'm saying? I just been outside working, lifestyle. You know, lifestyle just lifing. You know what I'm saying? And, but now I'm damn sure not getting no sleep. This up every morning, and then around the morning time, he like to do that little live concert I be doing with him. And, he like to walk around the house. So,
hitting me and getting in my comments, telling me what to tell King, okay? I know my son. Think I ain't spoke to my son? Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his going to prison. If you got to keep this up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had that conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's going to turn out.
He grew up with lights in his eyes, stage lights, camera lights, the kind that make privacy a rumor. When parents become a headline, kids inherit the echo. Friends text him the clip before he's ready. Strangers act like they know the house because they've seen a few episodes and a handful of lives. He's building his own lane, his own sound, his own voice, and now he has to do it with a crowd narrating how they think he feels about something he didn't cause. That kind of pressure bends a young artist's timeline. It turns ordinary mistakes into proof. It makes anger look like attitude, and quiet look like guilt. Mostly, it steals the right to process in peace. He didn't choose the moment, but it chose him, and the hardest part is learning how to keep moving without letting someone else's storm become your identity. So where does that leave the family? Somewhere between what's proven and what's persuasive. The tape felt like proof because it sounded like intimacy caught on the wrong mic. But feelings aren't affidavits, and a viral clip isn't a sworn statement. The story is still a tug-of-war between what people think they heard and what can actually be established when the heat dies down. There's more floating around the edges, and you've seen it if you've scrolled long enough. Talk of hotel check-ins, side-by-side names on receipts, private messages saved for leverage, voice notes that surface when the night is quiet and the timeline is hungry. They come and go like booster rockets for the main narrative. Some might be real. Some might be old clips in new packaging. Some might be creative editing with confident captions. They keep the fire hot when the initial spark starts to fade. Here's the part to hold on to as you log off. Certain pieces of this story, especially the alleged affair between T.I. and Shekinah, the supposed hotel records, and the private messages people claim to have, are rumors and online speculation. They are unverified. They travel faster than fact because they're built to. Pain can be real while proof is incomplete. Both things can be true at the same time. When the feed's cool, what remains is a choice. You can let a clip decide for you. Or you can admit what you don't know yet and wait for what can stand on its own. For Tiny, the day will replay whether she presses play or not. For T.I., silence will say as much as any statement. For Shekinah, proximity will keep costing more than it ever paid. For King, the work is the only thing that's his to control. Every session, every verse, every step forward that says, I'm more than the headline you gave me. Who do you think's going to be the next person in the limelight? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest celebrity news and updates. I'll see y'all on the next one.